Welcome back to Young Smart Money, show number 14 with me, your host, Apple Kreider, the show where we bring on young entrepreneurs, young creatives who are doing cool stuff. We interview them, we learn what they have sort of come across along their journey, share it with you, share some actionable tips. It's a really fun time. I'm glad you're here with us today. Today we've got a very special guest on the show. His name is Nick Larson. We actually went to high school together. Funny story, back in second grade, he was the one that actually came up with the nickname Apple for me, so fun fact there. We're actually going to get to that in the show as well. But I wanted to have him on because he's doing some cool stuff with Amazon FBA. He's doing some cool stuff just creatively. We met up for coffee a couple weeks ago, and we really reconnected. We hadn't talked much during high school, so it was really cool to get to know him again, see all the cool stuff that he's doing. He's actually taking a gap year right now as well, so we talk about that. We talk about all this cool stuff. Really, it's themed on hustling as a young person, so really just anything. If you are a young person, you're trying to make stuff happen, you're trying to create stuff, this is the episode for you. You're going to get a ton of value out of this. I know it. And it's going to be a great time. So without further ado, let's just hop right into the show and start talking to Nick. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Today we've got a special guest on. We've got Nick Larson. We graduated in the same class from our high school, and we're just gonna have him on. We're gonna interview him on basically just hustling as a young person because he's doing some really cool stuff. Wanted to bring him on, share his experiences with you guys because I think it's really valuable. So without further ado, let's just turn it over to Nick. And Nick, can you give us a little bit of a background on yourself? Really just where you're at with life, what you're doing, I guess school-wise, really anything you think would be relevant, just as a background on you.
For sure. Sweet. Thanks for having me on, man.
For sure.
I appreciate it, though. So yeah, my name's Nick. We went to the school together pretty much throughout since we were you went to Hale and stuff?
Yeah.
So since kindergarten pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess right now, I did 1 year of college and I'm deciding to just not go back, at least for now. I'm kind of exploring different opportunities. Definitely, Andrew's definitely an inspiration, but just looking at different things through online. There's just so much opportunity and potential, I feel like. So for background though, yeah, we went, I was homeschooled for 3 years during middle school, which was cool. Went to high school with this guy and we graduated and we're kind of doing some of the same stuff. So, I'm just glad to be on the podcast and hopefully I can provide some good content for you, man.
For sure. That's what's up. If you guys are wondering, here's a little Easter egg. Nick actually came up with the nickname Apple. So if you're wondering where that came from, this is the guy who made it happen all the way back in second or third grade. So coming full circle, guys. That's a fun fact for you guys who are listening.
That's sick. Yeah.
All right, so Nick and I, we reconnected about a week or two ago and had coffee. We hadn't really spoken in a while, but I've been keeping tabs on him on Instagram, just what he's up to because he's an interesting dude. So I've just been keeping tabs. He makes some cool music as well, so check him out. I'll let him do some self promo later, but just a hint to that. But so we had coffee about a week ago. And basically he told me a little bit about what he's diving into this year as far as online goes. And I think what he was saying is so spot on, that there's just so much white space online, so much opportunity online that people can take advantage of. And there's so many ways to really make an income for yourself online if you know where to look, essentially. So we're going to talk a lot about that today, and we're going to talk a lot about what Nick's up to as far as that goes. But I understand you're currently in the process of actually starting an Amazon FBA business. And some of our listeners might know that I actually tried that out a little bit a while ago. I'd say 6 months ago now. I tried to get into that a little bit, but I wasn't really feeling it, so I sort of stepped back from that. But can you talk a little bit about first off just what FBA is, and then we'll go a little bit deeper on your experience.
For sure, man. So for those of you who don't know, FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. It's a service that Amazon offers where essentially whether you source products from China or it's products that you have actually created yourself, you can send them to an Amazon warehouse. They will hold on to it for you, and the best part is they will do the shipping for you. They'll do the customer service. It's really hands off once you get all your stuff into it. So it's more upfront work, but once it's in there, it's kind of on Amazon to do the rest. So I heard about it just from browsing on YouTube kind of and stuff, and I saw this sort of trend coming off of just ways to make money online, or how to make $100 a day as a broke college, just stuff like that, right? So I ended up I was looking into it for a while. I looked at Shopify stuff before, but I didn't really go too far with that. So then I ended up buying a course, is a Dan Voss Amazon Freedom course, and I this is like $500. So as like being just out of college, it's like okay, this is kind of a lot, but I feel like it's really definitely potentially worth way more than that. So I bought the course, started doing product research and figuring out basically the way you do it is you kind of find like products that will have a high enough demand but not a ton of competition, and you just make money from it. So I ended up finding my product, which I'll keep disclosed because not many people share their products, But I found my product, and actually it's perfect time because just last night I sent over the address to the supplier, and they're going to be shipping it out pretty soon because they finally finished the mass production of it. So sending it over to the warehouse in Texas, and hopefully it's just something. For now, it could start with just some extra money per month, maybe like $1,000 if things are working well. But the coolest part about it, I think, is that it has potential to reach extreme heights. So I feel like if I can get this first product successfully selling over and over, then the possibilities are endless because you just add more products to your page, and yeah, man. So that's what I've been up to with that.
That's a ton of stuff that we just dove into right there.
Yeah.
But taking it back a step, so one of the main draws that I saw to Amazon FBA was sort of what you were touching on. It is the fact that it can be kind of passive income. The fact that you put in the work up front, and then you sort of get this money machine going, and you just sort of feed it a little bit. I mean, obviously you got to send more shipments to your supplier warehouse if that's through Amazon, but the fact that Amazon just takes care of all of the shipping, all of the like everything essentially. Basically, you just get the product, you send it to Amazon, and you obviously market it and stuff. But Amazon will have their website, they'll handle the shipping and everything. So that's one of the big draws that I saw to FBA. And that's really key there. And for you guys that aren't aware, basically, in my opinion, there's really two or three ways to make income, and as far as categories go. There's active income, there's passive income, and then I would also put investment income in there as well, just because I feel like that's depends. It can be passive income, it can be active income, depends on how you want to take your investments. But as far as passive income goes, it really just means that you're making income not based on how much time you spend working or how much time you spend on something. You're making income based on your past efforts and the past sort of systems that you've set up. And Amazon FBA is a really good example of this, because you really you set up this system to work for you, and then it does for as long as you continue to feed it. And obviously Amazon's going to take a cut for this as well, because they're doing all this work for you. But if you again find the right product, if you make sure that there's demand for it but not so much supply, obviously you got to balance that supply and demand. If you find something that's really saturated, something like like a yoga mat. I remember when I was doing FBA, the example that everybody always used was a yoga mat, because there's just so many people trying to sell those that you can't really make that much money doing it. But yeah, okay. So we hit a lot on Amazon FBA. So diving into the course you bought. So I want to hit on this because this isn't something that I have experience with. I've never actually bought like an online course before or anything like that. So I definitely want to hit on that. And for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube maybe, or are listening on the podcast, if you have seen any YouTube ads of this guy who's like, maybe he's in front of a pool, or he's standing on his porch or something, and he's not Tai Lopez, he's probably the dude whose course, the Amazon Freedom course that Nick enrolled in. So I wanna get your take on this course, on just online courses in general. Sort of, what is your thought on I guess just online courses, and what was your experience with this course in specific?
For sure. So I feel like a lot of people won't maybe buy a course because they're afraid of spending money on like knowledge or information. More, right. People will be more like, I just want to make the money. Like, I'll just try to look up all these free videos, which free videos for sure can give you so much value and content.
There's so much information out there, yeah.
There's so much. But I think really, really buying a course is smart, because it'll really walk you through. And I think, applies to most things, but actually buying something, you'll take more value from it.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So like, say you're buying your way into college, you'll really be studying and working hard. But if it's all paid for you, say your parents are just wealthy, they're like, we'll buy all college for you, which is great. But it's you're not gonna maybe be consciously like feeling as like thankful for it, you know what I mean, or like it's like taking a full advantage of it.
For sure.
So I ended up, I was thinking like, this has potential to reach such great heights, and I was like, if everything works out, which that's kind of the mindset you want to go in with, like everything will work out. So I bought it as $500, and just in the course it's been great. I mean, obviously it's been worth every penny, because I've there's some things on YouTube that I couldn't find just ways to kind of like connect all the dots. I think the best part about it is it gives you an order, and you just follow it, and you really learn, and it shows you like how to just take the steps necessary to kind of run a successful Amazon FBA business. So just as down to product research, he gives just tons of different ways to really find the product. I think it was definitely worth buying, and I'm not even technically quite finished with it, because I still have to go through the whole, okay, once my product gets into the warehouse, how do I actually get these sales and stuff. So far it's been awesome, and I mean, I kind of recommend spending that money on knowledge, unless you can find what you're looking for free. Then that's great, but sometimes you're gonna have to actually buy, because I mean it's just worth it in my opinion. So
that's fair. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of value in online courses, but one of the things that obviously you did was, before you bought this, you did your research on Amazon FBA. You figured out if it was something that you actually wanted to pursue. Because if people go around dropping $500 on a course on something that they don't even know anything about to begin with, they don't know if it's something they actually want to do. Like, it's very important to do your homework beforehand. Like, look at the free resources, figure out if this is something you're actually interested in, first of all, before you jump in and decide to drop a couple $100, because obviously you don't want to end up spending that money on something that's not actually going to provide you with value. But in Nick's case, he knew that this is something he wanted to pursue seriously, so that is why he decided to make that investment. And a couple things you hit on, like that sunk cost thing, like once it's your money on the line, then it gets a lot more real, because you're not just playing with your parents' money, with house money. Like, you are playing with your own money, and you want to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. So that can be a good motivation for a lot of people to actually like do the work when they realize that, oh, I've made this investment. I want to make sure it's worth it for myself, because I don't want to just drop $500 on something that I don't want to stick with. And with online courses in general, I think that a good mindset to have is that it should be a step-by-step guide. Like, that should be, if that's the case, I think an online course can be definitely a valuable resource, because if it's not, like there's a lot of information you can find online for free, obviously. Like YouTube, like I don't even know how many thousand or million videos get posted every single day, every single minute. So there's a ton of knowledge and resources available to you. But if you can have like a step-by-step guide, especially for something as complicated and with as many steps as Amazon FBA, like that can be a very valuable resource for you. And if it's just like a blueprint that you can follow through with, that I think there is definitely a lot of value in that, and that can definitely be a good way to go for a good bit of people, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So stepping back from Amazon for a little bit, most of the people from our graduating class aren't really out here. They're not starting businesses. They're not doing any hustling. So how did you get interested in sort of starting your own business and going out on your own? And sort of, has this been on your mind for a while? Did you know you wanted to go out on your own, or was this kind of like spur of the moment?
Right, so I did my first semester of college, and my grades were good. I really wanted to make sure it's like, all right, if I'm going to be here, I'll just put in my work and get as best grades as possible, right? That's what most people try to do, I'm assuming. So then second semester came around, and I really was like kind of starting to fade, and I was like, you know what, I'm not sure if 4 more years of school is really the way I want to do it. Through high school, I sort of started to my motivation was kind of out the window. I just really was like, you know what, sort of, freshman, down to senior year, I just sort of was like, you know what, I don't know if I want to be doing these classes of things I'm not, exactly caring about. School obviously has a million benefits, right? It's great. But for me, I just felt like once I really started seeing these videos about like all these online business models, that's when it really, that was maybe like at the end of first semester. So that's like, maybe like December of 2017 was when I first started seeing all this stuff, and it kind of became more and more real to me. And I was just thinking like, you know what, I can't really picture myself, just like going and graduating college and then and then, you know, having this job where the freedom is pretty limited, you know, 9 to 5, which some people love that, then that's great. But for me, I just was like, you know, I don't know if I want to be doing the 40 hours a week and having to request off vacation time. You know, one thing I just really want to, you know, be able to travel. I know a lot of people like to travel, but for me, I just was like, you know, this is something I just want to see the world, because I've done a few trips before and they always just kind of opened my eyes. So I was like, I want to make that a big part of my life. So I think the biggest draw to it for me was just like, you know, I kind of want to be, you know, at least working, you know, not the direct exchange for time for money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like I can, you know, do more than that, and it really just interests me. I think the biggest thing was just the freedom of it, you know? I mean, even if it's active income, but it's like kind of on my own terms, like that's great too. But and then again, you know, you have FBA, which is a passive income sort of deal. So like either of those, as long as it's more in my control, I think that's what I really wanted. And just, you know, realizing, you know, going into second semester, I'm just like, there's so much opportunity that I think I don't really need to go to college for. So I finished out second semester, and you know, my mom is completely supportive. She's like, you know, she did the same thing. I think she did 2 years of college and then went and did stuff on her own, and she, you know, landed like a job, KDWB.
Oh.
Yeah, she was I mean, there's a local radio station here that's kind of popular, but back in the day, she was the DJ for it. She was the voice for it. But yeah, hopefully I didn't veer too far off. I hope that answered it.
You're good. So I think that's definitely a draw for me as well. The fact of just like being able to not have this boss like breathing down your neck for your entire life, like being able to have some freedom with when and where you work. Sort of that quote-unquote laptop lifestyle of being able to, again, travel, not have to be reporting to somebody every single week with, like, progress reviews and all that stuff. Just being able to, like, manage yourself. But, again, that comes with a lot of self-awareness, and you really do have to know if that is something that's right for you. And just a couple things that I thought of while you were talking. When you were talking about sort of, like, your slump through high school, my girlfriend, funny story, my girlfriend used to sit next to this guy in our stats class, and she was telling me near the end, I guess whenever we were in senior, so 2 years ago, she was always telling me that you were trying to cheat off her tests and just not willing to do any of the work for the class. And by the end, she said she was just sick of it. She's like, I'm doing all this work. Nick's just sitting over here trying to like cheat on all my stats tests. Funny, I can definitely validate the fact that it was like downhill.
Definitely.
But like as far as you deciding or sort of stumbling upon this online business model, we were sort of, as far as my college experience went, we were sort of opposites, I feel like, because for me, first semester was where I was like, I'm out, like I don't want to be here. I want to go out on my own. I want to do something. And that was when I was watching all these Amazon FBA videos. That was when I was getting started myself. And that was the point where I was just like, skip school. I don't want to be here. But second semester, and for you it was like first semester, get the good grades, do all the work, blah, blah, blah. But for me, it sort of flip-flopped. And like second semester, I sort of came around and I was kind of like, all right, I think I could do this. I found a major that I was actually interested in rather than trying to pursue. I was trying to pursue computer science because I thought that was the way to get rich, to make money, is you work 80 hours a week as a computer programmer, make 6 figures, and have a terrible lifestyle. Like that was what I thought the good life was. But now I see that there's a lot more ways to go. So I just thought that was interesting how for you, first semester or like second semester was when you really decided to like learn about like online business models and stuff. And for me, it was first semester. So I thought that was pretty interesting. What do you think about, like, I hear a lot of people saying sort of, I'm too young. I'm so young. I don't need to like put in any work in like learning or like starting something on my own. Like I can wait till I'm like 30 to worry about real life. Like now I'm just living my 20s. I'm 19 right now. I don't know if you're 19, 20.
Not my teen.
Yeah. So like, what do you think of that mindset of just like, I can wait on that. I don't need to think about like real life right now. What are your thoughts on that? Because I hear that a lot.
Right on. I think the biggest thing straightforward is like, yeah, you can wait, but like, why? Like, why wait? You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like there's opportunities will come and go, and I think specifically for me, you know, I'm trying to get in with Amazon before it gets completely overly saturated with everyone doing it. So that's kind of a specific reason why I'm like doing it now. But it's like, yeah, you could wait till you're 30 to worry about this stuff, but it's like that's 10 years of your life. Say you put in, you know, work like, you know, for the next 4 years, then you could be in your mid-20s and you'll be like having this, you've already started on, this, you're 10 years early. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's just like, it's like, why wait? And I feel like people could be like, well, I just want to enjoy my life how it is now. It's like, well, who says you can't enjoy your life while still hustling and like getting this stuff going? So, yeah, I think for me, it's just like, why wait? I want to be able to like, really, enjoy this hopefully success that, I'm striving for, hopefully to just enjoy the income and stuff while I'm still like super young. I mean, you can still enjoy it in your 40s and 50s, but it's like, I got this feeling like you can kind of enjoy it a little more while you're still young, ambitious, fit, all that
energy.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, I kind of just want to chase it as fast as I can, because I think it's easy to push things away too, just to be like, I'll wait to do that. But it's like, I think getting in the habit of just starting it when it's like, it's like no excuses why wait. So that's the biggest thing I think for me while I'm just trying to get this going. And in a way too, I think my step back from college has been a biggest push for me to do this stuff, because if I'm not going to be going to school, then it's like, well, I want to be making sure I'm being most productive with my time as possible. You know what I mean? So if I'm not going to school in these years I would be at school, I'm going to just really push and try to, through different online models to just really like get my stuff going. So I think that's the biggest push is the opportunity can kind of come and go. So kind of, there'll always be opportunity. That's the thing. True. There'll always be, but in specific for what I'm doing, I want to get to it now before, it's like, I could wait a few years and then it's like, well, people who got in a few years ago, you know what I mean? So, and just not going back to school, at least for right now, is just kind of pushing me to like, I'm not going to just sit around and do nothing while I'm not at school.
Exactly. I mean, I know a couple people who took either gap years last year, taking gap years this year, and they don't really plan to do much other than maybe like get a part-time or full-time job. Right. And I feel like there's so much potential. I mean, when you're so young, you have all this energy like to just grind out on something. Maybe it's not even something that you end up being passionate about or liking, but like just grinding out on something, learning about yourself, about whatever you tried, right. And taking that forward with you. You got all these experiences, you got all this knowledge behind you that can really help carry you to something even like, I don't know, I just think there's so like if you decide to go for it early on, there's no downside. Like maybe you go out like 2 less times a week or something. Like there's just so the downside is so negligible and the upside is unlimited. Like there's so much that you could gain from really going out on your own and just like trying something that it just doesn't, for me, like the way my brain works is basically just like, why would I not just go all in on what I'm passionate about right now and learn a ridiculous amount from that? Like why would I not do that? So that's where I'm at. So taking a gap year, talking about that for a little bit, what are your main like goals with your gap year? Obviously you want to get this Amazon FBA business going. Obviously you want to get some stuff set up for you, but like what are you mostly like, what are your big goals for your gap year? Like what do you hope to achieve by the end of it?
Sure. I'd say my biggest goal, like you said, is kind of really, refuse to make this Amazon thing not work, which I think is a good mindset, just to be like, I will do whatever it takes to make sure this works. I think that's one of my goals. I'm working on like a set goal for like how much income do I want to be making, right? Which I think is valuable to be like, by this date I want to be making this much, and it'll just push you. Even if you fall short, you've been taking all these steps to make more money, that it's like, say you fell short, but it's better than not even having that goal and being even lower than you were before. Exactly. So that's one of my goals. I'm still figuring out like an income thing, but I think one goal I have now is to kind of just as soon as possible, hopefully by the end of this gap year, be able to, through this opportunity online and different stuff I think we'll talk about maybe later on with Instagram and making, helping people with their social media pretty much and getting paid for it. I think I want to be able to stop trading my time, directly exchanging my time for money, which is, I serve at a restaurant right now. The tips are great. It's the best bang for your buck. I'd say if you're getting like a part-time or full-time job that you didn't get through college, serving's a great way to go. So pro tip. But I'd say my goal would be kind of just to eliminate that direct time for money and kind of work on my own terms. And I mean, even if I'm working for people online, I think it's a much better step than, directly showing up for 8 hours, getting paid, but I think my biggest goal is to kind of stop that chain of direct time for money. So yeah,
that's really, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, so many people, they don't even realize that there is another way to go. Like, people just think that trading your time for money is sort of like the way life is, right. But just knowing that there are opportunities besides just the 9 to 5 and trading your time for money on a linear scale is really big. And even if you're sort of trading your time for money but like not quite on a linear scale, that's definitely a lot better in my opinion, just because you have a lot more freedom there and you're not directly limited. Like, if you're trading your time for money directly, you really have two options if you want to make more money. You can sacrifice more of your life to work more, right. Or you can try to get a raise. And I mean, if you're working for a big company, chances are you don't get a raise more than like every 2 or 3 years, right. And at that, maybe you get like a 3% bump or like a 5% bump. Like there's you're just so limited. Like there's just so many caps on like where you can go and your potential. Whereas if you go out on your own, if you start something new, like you're gonna have to grind your face off, and you might not be making any money for the first like year or two while you just learn, but there's just unlimited upside for you if you find something that you're truly passionate about and that you truly do care about. Right. So I think there's just so much potential in there. And I'm actually gonna make a whole video on why I think serving is like the best job for college, high school students, young people in general, because I'm a server as well, and I think that is just such a beneficial way to make a ridiculous amount of money at a young age. Because I mean, some days I come home, I made like $40 an hour, and like you don't do that anywhere else as a high school student, as a college student. You really don't. Like there's no internship, there's no anything that working for somebody else where you're gonna be making $40 an hour and have to come in with like no experience whatsoever. Right. Yeah. So I think that's just ridiculous that more people aren't on that. So as far as like working for yourself, what are you sort of on your own on this? As far as like having people around you, do you have like a team of people? Do you have any other entrepreneurial people in your network that you're able to bounce ideas off of? I know we're starting to talk more, which is cool. I love hearing from you, man. But do you have anybody else? Like, do you have like I don't know. Do you have anybody else that's like super entrepreneurial that you can just like bounce ideas off of and stuff?
Sure, I would say so. One of my closest friends, George, we talk about, you know, we set these huge goals and stuff, and I'm sort of talking to him about some of the stuff I'm doing, so I think I'll get him going with that stuff. But besides him, I'd say, as for like entrepreneurial spirit, I'd say it's probably just you, man. Like honestly, like
respect for that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say like we're really, you know, I just love the idea of surrounding yourself with like-minded people. So it's just like. Yeah, I'd say to an extent I'm in this, you know, for now it's just been me and I guess you, like we're starting to talk more. Yeah. I could see our like relationship getting stronger and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of, you know, diving into it, but I feel like honestly, like I don't know if this sounds like cliche, but like when I like reading, it feels like I'm in it with the author of the book. I don't know. So I started reading I'm reading a book right now, but I've, you know, bought a lot of books, and I've realized the value of like getting that, you know, mentorship through reading, which I'm sure you've heard, Ty Lopez, right? You know, knowledge, but it's
power.
It's really true, you know. So yeah, I'd say I'm sort of in this on my own right now. Not a lot of none really of my friends are you know, starting anything like an Amazon FBA business or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm really kind of on this on my own, but I think, you know, bouncing each other, you know, I've hit him up on Instagram, like, which I think will, you know, touch on, you know, this sort of Instagram, like helping people with their Instagrams, basically like making good content for them and getting paid for it. So I was hitting him up just last night. I'm like, you know, how much do you think I should charge, all this stuff. So I think like pretty much you is just like the other like person who I can see is like really actively doing stuff. If not, you're probably even doing more than me, because, you know, you got your podcast going, you got your YouTube channel, your Instagram Games 100, like all this stuff. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
All right, well, respect for that. Was not trying to like rep myself right there, like get him to like shout me out, just so you know. But what are you reading right now? You mentioned you were reading some stuff. Can you share with the audience what you're reading, who you're reading?
For sure. So most people know this book. I mean, I actually didn't really even know it before, but I've even talked to my mom or like just people from my church and just like, yeah, no, like Think and Grow Rich is the one I'm reading right now. It's very popular. It was written in like 1937, I think. Which at first I was like, wait, you know, is this even like relevant now? Yeah. But of course, you know, just after diving into it, I was like, this will apply kind of forever. It seems like in regards to like. For me, the most I've gotten from it is just I've continued to be, you know, more optimistic. I'm only like halfway done with it, right? More optimistic, and I think, you know, just providing people with greater value than like what you're trying to receive will always work, sort of. So that's just like a thing from it. But I ordered also The Magic of Thinking Big, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and then one called .com Secrets. I don't know if you're familiar with it or I mentioned it to you, but it's really kind of like it's a blueprint on like really growing your online business. So I'm excited to read that one. But first, I'm finishing out this first book, and yeah, it's by Napoleon Hill. It's been great, honestly. It kind of like relaxes me in a way, because sometimes I'll start to get so like stressed about just like whatever, you know, business, like say it's Amazon, I'll be stressed with just like, oh, I need to get my product photos done, all this stuff. But it kind of keeps me just like okay, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but it keeps me like relaxed and calm and like you know, knowing like, okay, I just need to be patient and I can just keep reading and just keep learning. There's no like immediate rush to do everything, but at the same time, it's like, you know, there's not this rush, but it's also like, it's kind of up to you how fast you want to work at this stuff. Yeah. And for me, it's like, you know, I want to be in my 20s, you know, in my prime, you know what I mean? Just like going in and enjoying life straight up. And it's like, just why wait? You know, it's like, I heard about this stuff and it'd be kind of like, what's the point in knowing all that this is out there and then just thinking, well, I'll keep trading my time for money for a few more years, which is like, if that's where you want to go, that's all the power to you. But I just want to get more out of life and really be able to focus on my passions, like he mentioned, you know, music production and just living my life. So I guess that's where books are just really important, which I've just realized, you know, I'm not even finished with the first book. So I guess maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but already reading, you know, the first 150 pages, I'm just like, okay, like this is important.
Yeah, one thing you hit on there that I think is really valuable is sort of the mindset that a lot of people take, whether it's learning about Amazon FBA or just learning about any kind of online business model on YouTube, is they'll learn forever. Like they'll spend years and years and years watching all these videos, watching all these people be successful, but they never take action. And I think knowledge, like Tai Lopez says, knowledge is power, but like it's only power when you apply it. It's only power when you take action. So
that's Think and Grow Rich. Too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what they said in there.
So you got to, I mean, obviously you got to learn. You can't just like run out there, have no idea what you're doing and expect to be successful. Like that's not going to work for you. But also, you can't just spend all of your life learning and not apply any of it, because then in my opinion, there's definitely an argument to be made, like what's the point of learning all this stuff if you never actually do anything with it? So I think it's definitely a balancing act there, and I'm definitely myself trying to balance this, because obviously I'm a creator and I'm always learning, I'm always reading. So there's definitely a fine line between like speaking on stuff you have no place speaking on, and also doing your homework, reading about all the things you need to be reading about, and just learning, because you wanna be creating, you wanna be providing value for other people while still bettering yourself. So that's like a fine line for me. There's a lot of videos that I made that I don't plan on publishing, because I'm just like, wow, I have no place speaking on that. But I think it's just, there's definitely a balancing act there, and you don't want to be talking about stuff you have no place talking on. So I think that's really valuable. Right. And another thing you mentioned was sort of like the fact that the books allow you to take a step back, and I think that's sort of reminded me of something Gary Vee says, which is like macro, like big picture, you got to be patient, but in the day to day, you got to be fast and you got to be moving and you got to be hustling. Right. So I want to talk about Gary Vee just a little bit, because when we talked a week ago, we got into a little bit on Gary Vee. But as far as people in the entrepreneurial space go, people in the business world, who do you sort of like look up to, or like who do you see and you're like, wow, they're doing cool stuff, I want to maybe get into that, I want to learn more about them, get to know them? Like who are you looking at, who are you looking up to?
Yeah, straight up. So I think Gary Vaynerchuk is kind of for everyone. He'll get you doing stuff. He'll really kind of be like, cut the BS. Like, no one cares. Just put in the work and let the results show for themselves. Don't talk about. I think the biggest thing for me is like I've learned to like stop like talking about things I'm going to do and just kind of like actually doing it. So like I've already I'm waiting for this Amazon shipment to come in. I've done all my work there. I've started doing this Instagram stuff, just like doing and kind of, I don't really, not many people even know I'm doing this except for you, this Amazon stuff. Like, I mean, just my family and my close friends really, but like no one more than that, because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm like starting this business when it's like, say it's a total flop, then it's just like, I just want to let the results speak for themselves. So that's where Gary Vee comes in. I think he's big on that. As for people who I sort of like think they're doing cool stuff, I follow some people on YouTube. I mean, obviously the guy who took the course from Dan Boss, he's inspiring. He's he's just showing like he's showing the lifestyle you can live when you get this source of passive income, or you're able to kind of work that laptop lifestyle, which I think would be great, because you can literally live wherever as long as you have your laptop and Wi-Fi. It's like you're in business, so you can still make that money. I think just like the people who inspire me, that I strive to be, is the people who are hustling and working hard, and then create these sources of income for themselves, but then they're really able to go and live their life, work less, live more kind of mindset.
I like that.
Which I like, and I just want to be able to like really, say things I'm passionate about is like learning a new language, right? Learning Spanish and maybe learning like goal is to try to be bilingual, maybe up to trilingual, right? I think that's something interesting for me, and if I'm working a 40-50 hour a week job, I'll be beat after like every single day at work, that I might just be like, oh, I just want to just relax and do nothing, sort of. So it's it's working less so you can live more, and just like definitely get going with like the things I'm really passionate about. So I guess whoever inspires me is those kind of people living those things out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's just valuable to say, like, personally, I know myself, and I know that living sort of like the laptop lifestyle, or like being able to just like run a business from your phone, like that is what I personally want to do. But like, I'm not trying to be out here telling you that that's like the way you should go, because everybody, you got to know yourself. That's what it really comes down to. Like, you got to find what you're going to enjoy, what you're going to get fulfillment out of, and do that, because obviously one certain path isn't the right path for everybody. Everyone's gonna have their own things that they want to do, have their own ambitions, and some people are they're gonna get a job working 40 hours a week for a huge company, and they're gonna love that. And like, if that's you, like, all the more power to you. If you like get all like your enjoyment out of like coaching your child's like little league game, like, all the more power to you. Like, as long as you're like enjoying your life and just like living a fulfilled and happy and just like amazing life, like, all the more power to you. Like, I'm not the one to be here and telling you like how to live your life. I'm just trying to share with you like my experiences and get people on here who have cool experiences as well, just so that we can give you guys like a fuller picture of what's available to you, so that you don't just think that the 40-hour week, the 9 to 5 is the only path for you. Right. That's basically just a disclaimer here, just being like, I'm not trying to tell you how to live. I think it's very valuable for people to make their own decisions.
Yeah, ditto to what everything he just said. It's easy for me to like, like if you're working 9 to 5, like it's easy for me to come off like that, you know what I mean? But obviously that's not what I'm saying. Like, say you want to be a nurse and put in these long hours because you love helping people, then it's like, if that's what you want to do, then that's awesome. Like, college can do that for you. Like, you get the knowledge necessary to go and do that. But for me, it's just like I try to, part of the reason I stopped college is because I try to picture myself like, through these jobs that college could potentially get you. I'm just trying to picture myself. I'm like, I'm just not sure. I mean, maybe I will go back to school eventually. Who knows? Like, there's always like optimism for the future. But but for right now, I'm thinking I'm probably not going to, because I have these things I'm trying to do. So yeah, totally just ditto what he said. It's not like there's a right way to live life. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, this is what we're into of that freedom and kind of just trying to work from a laptop. Some people might be like, well, I don't want to sit, at a screen. You know what I mean? So it's different for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, I think one of the big things about being so young and about like just knowing getting to know yourself is such an important thing, because so many people, like I'm talking to people who are maybe in their 50s, their 60s, and they still don't know what they like to do, and I'm just like, man, like if you would have just taken some time, like at a young age, like we have, like between me and you, we have very little obligations. We don't have a family. We don't have like bills to pay. I mean, like it's so crazy how much freedom we have right now to just get to know ourselves. And I think that's such a big thing that a lot of people don't take advantage of, is just, I mean, that's a great part of college in my opinion, is like getting to know yourself. And like for you, you were at school and then you were like, I don't think this is for me right now, and that's great. Like get to know yourself, use school to know, one, if school is even right for you, and then like beyond that, like what you might want to do with your future, because you have so much time right now, you have so much opportunities right now that it's just not, you're never going to have as few obligations as you are today. Like so why not just take some chances and go for it today when you can.
And I think that goes back, if I say, I think that goes back to what we were saying of like, why would, like people think, oh, wait till I'm 30. It's like, well, you don't know how your life's going to go. Maybe you have 3 kids by the time you're 30. You have all these more expenses. You maybe you get married, and it's like totally a big reason is like, I literally like I have a few very minimal expenses right now living at my house. So it's like, why not just like take my seed money from like this hourly job I'm working right now serving, and just like, be as smart as I can with it, instead of like, if I were to move out and I'm paying at least like $700 a month in rent, it's like that stuff could go just towards like just learning so much more about the stuff I'm trying to do. So
that's what's up. I mean, keep like one of my big things right now is, again, just keeping my expenses really, really low so that I can funnel as much money as possible into just, again, learning about myself, starting my business, my entrepreneurship stuff that I'm up to. Like I feel like if you just have that freedom to funnel money into whatever you want to and use it to learn, like that's huge. That's really valuable to me. So now I want to sort of get into what you've been up to lately. So if you guys aren't familiar, I made some YouTube videos on this, but I started to do some Instagram work for some bigger influencers. And I sort of, when we were getting coffee a week or two ago, whatever, I shared with Nick what I was up to, and he thought it was really cool, so he pretty much just ran with it immediately, and he's already starting to have some results. So I want to let Nick speak on that a little bit. Feel free to share whatever you want to. You don't have to share like people's names or anything, but like share. I'm just like, just the fact that you just took initiative and we're a self-starter and just acted on this so quickly. It just like blows me away. So can you talk a little bit on like what just happened and like how you're working with somebody already?
Right, man. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Like, really, I mean, like, I just appreciate you sharing that stuff too, because it was like, I like straight away was like, this dude's smart. Like, this is a really good idea. And I've heard stuff about like, social media marketing or like taking care of that stuff, but this is almost like just kind of like an easy way to get your foot in the door with that stuff. So, like he said, he's been making video clips for people, kind of like little highlight things you would say maybe for people's Instagrams, and he's getting paid for it. Like, he just hit him with the value, was like, what, I want to see your stuff grow. I won't give away like everything we do, but like he's just like given this value up front, right? Like I think you mentioned Gary Vee has a book, Jab Hook or something, right? Which I was like, wow, that's like cool. And I kind of sort of subconsciously realized that's what I was doing with this first person I was hitting up, and I was like, hey man, like I want to see your Instagram grow as big as your YouTube, so like here's some clips. I'm gonna just throw a couple of these at you a week, like totally what Andrew was doing. So that was, I hit him with a few of them, and he's like, man, I really love these. Like he ended up posting one on his Instagram, and I looked in the comments, and he's getting like good feedback from his followers, and they're like, yeah, make more of these. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I was like, okay. So I hit him with another one, and then I was like, he didn't reply, and he read it. So I was just like, hey man, like, are you trying to like, are you going to use these or not? So I was like, I want to keep making them. He was like, absolutely, I'll keep using these. Thanks so much. Sent up another one, kind of each video I think I've gotten better at, because this is kind of the first person I've tried. So I'm like already like, okay, making sure like I'm providing like the best possible value. And keep in mind, this is just like, I'm just like, I'll just do these for you. So this is the jab. So he's like, man, these are awesome. He's like, I really like these. And I was like, went in kind of for the hook and was like, I kind of, put together a little package if you're interested in hearing about it. And basically right now I told him briefly about what I could offer him. He's like, yeah, man, like follow up with me in a week. And I was just like, okay, for sure. So I'm going to just put together like a little package for him. But this could potentially be securing like my first client with this stuff. And it's not that much work. You know what I mean? Once I get efficient at it, I could say, I could knock it out within less than an hour a day. You know what I mean? And it really depends how much you're offering them, how much you could make a month. So I think this is just a great way to just another source of income. Yeah, it's just like super cool, and just thanks to this guy over here, like thinking of like this, I thought that's why I ran with it, because I was like, wow, I haven't even heard of this, and I feel like I've heard of a lot of ways to make money, but obviously that just shows how much white space there is. Like, never think like like you're just dumb if you think like, oh, I know all the ways. That it's like, no, man, there's always something you can do. And the coolest part about this is like, you literally just need a laptop and like basic editing skills to do this. So like, I know a lot of kids have this, have the resources of a laptop, and like, I'm sure you've edited with like, even iMovie, I guess, or like apps on your phone is what, you know what I mean? So you don't, necessarily need these nice editing programs to do this for people, but I'm sure Apple's probably going to talk about it more in like later videos, and maybe, maybe even later in this podcast, but.
Yeah, and I mean, there's like you said, there's so much white space out there that you really do. You just got to keep your eyes open. And like personally, like I just saw, like I saw a problem, and the problem was these guys had huge followings on YouTube. They didn't have a following on Instagram. I'm like, I want to help you fix that. And basically, I mean, you just got to lead with value, and you got to show these guys what you're good for. Because just to throw some numbers out there real quick, I'm making like somewhere around $500 a month right now with like maybe 10 hours of work a month on these things that I'm doing. So there's just so much opportunity for you if you're able to get in there, to have some creativity in the value that you can provide, because there's just so many opportunities for you if you're willing to look around. And I mean, another thing, like the fact that I think it's really important to share with people. Like I straight up, I told Nick exactly what I was doing. Like I didn't hide anything. Right. I wasn't like cryptic with him. No, I straight up told him exactly what I was doing, because I wasn't afraid of him starting. Like I'm super stoked that he started doing this too, because there's just so much room. Like I'm not worried that the market is going to get saturated. I'm just like, I think there's just so much room to be successful, and there's so much room to I don't know, just do. Like I'm not worried that Nick's starting, or that anybody else starting the same thing is going to like dry up the market for me. So I think that's really powerful as well. And my personal philosophy with like YouTube and everything is like, give away as much information as possible. Like I don't. Right now, obviously, I'm 19. I don't sell any courses or anything, because I realize that I'm in no place to try to sell my information, and I would much rather just give it all away for free, and not present these barriers to people to try to consume my information, because I think I just want to share as much with people as possible. So that's my main driving force. So as far I don't know. So basically, you just hit this dude up, and you're basically just like, here's some value. And I think that's a really powerful way to go. And I think anytime you try to reach out to somebody who's like big, as far as like followers go or whatever, like if you hit them up and you're basically just like, I want to work with you, or like I want to get a shout out, or I want to do this from you, like that's not gonna get you anywhere. And coming back to Jab 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk, that amazing book, I highly recommend it. But you have to provide so much value for people if you want them to even like give you their time of day. Right. So that's a really big thing with like, so when I say this, when we talk about how we're working with people, like don't just get the idea of like messaging everybody you know and being like, I want to work for you, I want you to pay me money. Like that's not going to get you anywhere. Nobody's going to listen to you on that. So you really do have to think about ways that you can find some white space, provide people with value, and then like go in on that. And don't, like, honestly, when I did this, like I wasn't even expecting to get paid. I wasn't expecting anything in return. Like I was straight up just in this to like help these guys grow. So I think I sort of accidentally stumbled upon all this white space because I was just sort of out here trying to provide value, because that's what you got to do. But there's just so much white space that even if it's an accident, like you can find so many opportunities out there. So that's my 2 cents on that. What do you have plans of like trying to make this a bigger thing, or like? Are you trying to run with this even farther?
Yeah, so I'm really just getting my feet wet in it. And the coolest part about this whole thing, we got coffee like, what was it, like a week and a half ago, maybe?
If that, yeah.
And I hit this dude up probably a week ago. And so, like, basically over the span of what may be like 2 weeks, I may have already secured a way to make like, $400, $500 a month, right? So that just shows how fast it actually kind of turned around. So I think I'm definitely going to try to get a few more clients with the same sort of thing, and maybe branch over to like Facebook or like full, just I think slowly I'll kind of just learn more ways to like the ways I could provide even, a better package for people, right?
Yeah.
Or just like stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to run with it for a little bit until I feel like it's I guess I'll run with it until I feel like I'm, I need to like this is a lot of time I'm putting in, what I mean? Until it's like almost like too much where it's like, I'm just gonna run with it as much as I can pretty much until it's like, okay, I need to slow down and like, you know what I mean? So, definitely, this would just be a great way to just get closer to that like laptop lifestyle of just like, cause I can do all this stuff just from my computer, or some of it I can even do just from my phone, which is the coolest part. So, I'm kind of just gonna run with it as far as I can.
That's what's up. And I think just coming back to what you said really quick, it's powerful when you can just sort of be your own boss and like decide to like slow down if you realize that you're like getting overcommitted. Like you can't always do that if you're in a job and people are just like throwing projects at you. Like that's another powerful thing about going on your own. You have the ability to filter how much work you want. And just like determine like what you actually want to be doing, because again, like I'm doing all of this. I'm doing some from my computer, but most of it from my phone.
Right.
And I misspoke earlier. I said $500. I meant $1,000 a month with 10 hours of work. Because I actually just got my second client a couple days ago.
See, let me just jump in real quick. He's like, from what I know, he's done this for like, you haven't been doing this for like more than a month, has it been?
Like a couple, maybe
like 3 weeks.
2 weeks before I talked to you.
Right, maybe like, so it's been like 3 weeks total, right? So, and this dude's already like secured like $1,000 a month, which is like a part-time job, right? And he said he's doing it from his phone. Like that just shows like, there's so many different ways you can make money, like just through the simplicity of like having your phone. And like the coolest part is like, if you have a little bit of creativity and some knowledge of just like, the English language, right? You know what I mean? Like, or whatever language. That's a cool thing too. Maybe there's like people who speak Spanish on YouTube, like, I don't know, dude. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but it just shows how fast this dude turned around, a few clients to get $1,000 a month. And if he can do that in 3 weeks, imagine if, depending on what your goals are, say he kept doing this for 6 months, like it's crazy how much money he could make just from finding the white space, I guess. So, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're totally good. And as far as social media goes, there's so much white space. And like if you were born like after like 1995,
right,
like you probably have a good, maybe even 1990, I don't know, you probably have a good understanding of how Facebook works, how Instagram works. And with that just basic knowledge, like we're no like social media experts. Like I don't have 1 million followers on like my Instagram. I have like 500. Like I'm no expert here, but with just a basic understanding of how social media works, of how to sort of, I don't know, just get people's attention, because attention is so valuable. Gary Vaynerchuk gets on this all the time, but like if you don't have somebody's attention, they're not listening to you, they're not gonna do anything with you, they're not gonna pay you any money, they're not gonna do anything. So like if you can figure out a way to get people's attention, like there's money to be made, like where the eyeballs are going. And if you just have a basic understanding of social media, there's so many opportunities out there. And if you throw in like some basic video editing skills, maybe some basic like Photoshop skills, there are so many ways for you to make a ridiculous amount of money very quickly. Obviously, like I don't think I'm an outlier here. I think I really do believe that like anybody, if you took a month to just really think and like take a couple actions to set yourself up with some decent skills, and just hit up some people with some value, and just literally dedicate, I don't know, maybe an hour a day for a month to like trying to build something like this, I really do believe that you could start to make a significant amount of money in that amount of time. Because obviously I did that, and I don't think I did anything special. I don't think I stumbled upon like the secret to anything. I think it just comes down to like being a little bit creative, and just being willing to put yourself out there and try something, even when there's no guarantee that it's going to be worth it, that it's going to pay off. Like just being willing to actually go out there and do something, because so many people, they're just not willing to try something. They're content to just sit where they're at. And I mean, if you're fine with where you're at, that's fine. But if you have ambitions to go somewhere, like, you do have to take those actions, because if you act like the average person, you're gonna end up where the average person ends up.
Right.
Which, I mean, if that's where you want to be, that's fine. But if that's not where you want to be, if you have aspirations of going higher than that, you gotta take actions that the average person isn't taking.
Right.
I think that's really just what it comes down to. Its most basic is, like, if you want it, like, your actions better reflect that, or you shouldn't be talking the talk in the first place.
Yeah.
So hopping back to our questions for a bit, we took a little tangent there just to hit on that, because I wanted to talk about that a little bit. But if we had an 18-year-old listener, I have some thoughts on this too, but if we have an 18-year-old listener who wants to get started making money, what do you think is the first thing that they should know? I mean, we've been talking about, like, making money online for a little bit now, but, like, just, like, real basic, or however you want to take this. Like, what do you think an 18-year-old should know that says they want to make money online?
Sure. Yeah, so I guess I'm speaking from a voice of, like, not that I'm, like, much older than them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Yeah. So I guess just even since I've been 18, I have learned, like, a lot more than I did from a year ago.
Sure.
So it's, like, not like I'm some expert, but
Exactly.
yeah. So that being said, I think what people should know if they're, like, 18 is, like, one thing that recently just kind of has been in my mind is, like, the importance of value first, right? So, and getting the attention from people, realizing that it takes work, right? It's like there's no such thing as a get rich quick scheme. Like, it'll always be, like, work. You can do, like, work up front and make tons of money, which may seem like it's a get rich, but it's, like, really not, because, like, you have to learn. Yeah, I'd say actually, a good thing I would say is whatever way you're planning on making money, I would say really become as good as you can in that field, like, as fast as you can. I'd say so. Like, it's like the idea of deep work. I don't know if you've heard of that book.
Yeah, Cal Newport.
Yeah, Cal Newport. I listened to that audiobook a while ago about just, like, really making sure, like, it's the ways I think making money online. One good thing to know is, like, specialized skills is where you kind of make the money, right? Because if you have a ton of general knowledge, it's like, that's great, but if you can't double down and triple down on, like, one particular, like, way or one particular thing, then it's going to be hard to make money just from, like, knowing a lot about, like, just, like, general knowledge. I think it's really important to just specialize. Even from the book I'm reading now is Think and Grow Rich is just, like, very important to, like, specialized knowledge is very important. So I'd say whatever you're going to do, learn as much as you can about it as fast as you can. I'd say realize that you're going to have to put in work, and there'll be, like, failures in times of, like, just, like, figuring out how everything works, I guess, like, kind of just figuring, which is really kind of a broad and abstract statement, but I guess, like, me from the past 6 months has just been me a lot of, like, learning, like, the way things work of, like, providing your services for money, I guess. And it'll all sort of start, like, to make sense, I think. And probably you should read books. I mean, I just started reading, so it's not like I'm some, like, reader. But it's true. Like, I've already learned things that I've applied and potentially has got me a client for $500 a month, which isn't that much. I guess, well, it depends. That could change your life.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
An extra $500 a month in your pocket, like
that could be rent for you, right? Yeah. It depends, right? So, yeah, man. I guess that's all I have to say on that.
I have a lot of respect for that. Also, so I think, like, look what you said about being specialized, having a specialized skill. That's so important. Like being a jack of all trades might seem desirable if you're trying to win, like, $50 at trivia, but, like, if you're trying to make money online, being a jack of all trades is not going to get you anywhere, because nobody wants that. Like, that's not something that's desired. Like, if you think about it, if you're a business and you're trying to hire somebody, you don't want to hire somebody who can do a half-assed job at anything. Like, you want to hire somebody who's really good in a certain area. Like, that's what you're looking for.
Exactly.
So be the person that the business is going to be looking for. Don't try to, like, sell yourself as, oh, I'm, like, pretty good at this, and, like, I can kind of do that well, and, like, oh, this is something that I have a little bit of knowledge on. No, like, drop double, triple, quadruple down on something that you want to be specialized in, and, like, grind that for, like, 6 months, evaluate where you're at, and if you don't like it, if it's not working for you, then pivot and do the next thing. But don't try to do like 18 things at once and just do them all like half-assed and like not actually like bring them anywhere. You do have to focus in on like specific things that you really want to get good at, that you really want to be an expert at before, like, I mean, yeah, just being a jack of all trades, it's great for trivia, it's not great for anything else. Like, you're not going to get anywhere with that. So that's really big. And I totally I like that you hit on that, because a lot of people think that they can just like I don't know, trying to fix your weaknesses, there's some merit to that, but I really do think that most times, like 9 times out of 10, it's really not worth it, unless it's like a really big thing. Like, if you can't function in social situations, maybe you want to address that. Maybe you want to like take some classes or something. I don't know. But like, if it's not something that's like really prohibiting you from like going after what you want to go after, don't worry about the stuff you're not good at. Like that stuff's not gonna matter unless it's something you really want. Like, again, if you're trying to get in shape and you're not in shape, like, fine, like focus on that for a little bit, but like make your main focus and let the other stuff be the other stuff, because if you don't do that, it's going to be a lot trickier for you to really find something that you can actually run with, because again, you can't get successful off of trying to do everything like half-assed. It's just not going to work for you.
Straight up,
So my next question was basically like, should people focus on going deep on one thing? And basically, I mean, we just talked on that, so we're just gonna skip that. So now I got some questions that I like to ask all of my guests before we wrap up the show. So first off, how do you stay motivated? Like, what do you have any strategies? Do you have any like certain things that keep you motivated, or thoughts or whatever?
Yeah, so I keep talking about reading, and that's like been the latest thing that's kept me motivated, because especially in this book, it tells stories of successful people, right? So just like hearing stories, I think keeps me motivated. Reading keeps me motivated. I'd say, you know, there's nothing wrong with looking at a car you like and thinking like, you know, that's kind of a motivation for me.
Yeah.
I think the motivation for me, the biggest thing that keeps me motivated would be that, like I mentioned this earlier, is the fact that if I'm not going to college, it's like I'm going to constantly be doing something to like
damn well better do something.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what keeps me motivated, because I'm not going to just sit and like settle kind of for like settle for like a serving job, which I know a lot of people who are servers, and they're like, you know, go to school or just like do something with yourself, because then, you know, you start to just like get in the role of it, which there's nothing wrong with being a server, but it's like a lot of people, you know, who are servers who are like 50 now at my job are just like, man, I think, you know, you should go to school, or like don't find yourself in the food industry or whatever. So since that's the job I'm in, that's like the context I draw from, is like the food industry. But I'd say that for the most part, that's what keeps me motivated. And it's just like to follow your, I mean, I don't know, everyone has goals and dreams, so it's just like you want to achieve them, so it's like that's just what motivates me, I guess.
And just being able to surround yourself with like-minded people, I think is really motivating as well, because you can bounce ideas off them, you can see what they're doing, and I think that's a really good way to just sort of keep at it, because like just you become the product of whatever the 5 people you associate most with or whatever. So I think it's valuable to be mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with and what they're bringing to the table, and what you're bringing to the table for them. So do you have any habits that have served you particularly well, whether that be, I mean, like sticking with your Amazon, with reading, with really anything, just like any habits that you find pretty useful?
Yeah. One thing I think, some good habits I think that I definitely, well, ones that I'm doing right now would be probably reading, consistently trying to get smarter at whatever it is that I'm doing. So like Amazon, always kind of at least every day doing something towards that, because there's not a lot you can do when you're waiting for your shipment, right?
Yeah.
You kind of just have to wait. But I think just like learning things that'll prepare me for when it's in, to like, you know, get it going the fastest, I guess. So I'd say reading is a good habit. Just whatever it is that you're focusing on, say it's Shopify or something like that, or you know, whatever it is, just like making sure you're kind of just learning something about it every day, because you know, the one who thinks they are finished learning. I forget what the quote was from the book, but it's like whoever thinks they're finished learning or is the expert in their field is kind of like it's just not the case. Kind of. Those are some habits. Some habits I'm trying to implement is waking up earlier. At least like 30 minutes of exercise a day, because I used to be all about working out and stuff, but I just haven't been lately. And I'd say just waking up and exercise. It's just good for your brain. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with that. I know personally I need to get like at least like 7.5 hours of sleep to like function at like a good level. But as long as I get that, and again, if I don't get moving just even a little bit, maybe just like a walk, like at the beginning, like the first hour of the day, I feel like my energy levels just get really off. So I think you just got to know yourself. You got to know what works for you, what you need to function at your best, and just have that self-awareness to do what you need to do for yourself. So we've been talking about reading a lot, but are there any book or books that have had a big impact on you, probably besides Think and Grow Rich, since we've hit on that one a bit? Even like fiction or anything, like are there any books that have just like stuck with you, or like that you think back to a lot and just like realize that like, wow, that book like really influenced me or has guided me at all?
Sure. There's a couple audiobooks I listened to. One I mentioned, Deep Work, and then one was I forget the exact name. I didn't finish it, but it was like basically about the formula. Product launch formula is what it was. It was like the product launch formula or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one, I think I haven't had any complete experience with like doing the actual formula, but I think just that really inspired me to show just he touched on his story about how he ended up launching this thing on launching his products online and just made like unbelievable amount of money. It completely changed his life. So that's just sort of an inspiration thing I'll think back to. And then Deep Work as well. The biggest takeaway I got from that was just to like obviously be willing to put in deep work and like kind of disconnect yourself from things for a while and just be like, for this week I'm just going to make sure I'm spending, for this month, right, for however long, it's just like to put in work on a specific set of skills that you enjoy, maybe that you like, and doubling down on your strengths, right, and then and just running with it, I guess, and you'll be able to make money if you become very good at something, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I actually read Product Launch Formula earlier this year, and I totally forgot about that book.
Yeah,
but like that's a good one. Yeah. No, that's definitely a good book. All right, so before we wrap up, where can our listeners find out more about you, what you're up to, your music as well? Feel free to just rep anything you want to. Sure. Just plug whatever you want, man.
For sure. So my Instagram is Mr. Nick Larson. You can follow me on there. Honestly, I'm gonna start posting more of just. It's hard to say. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna be posting. But if you want to see some pictures of me, you can follow me there. I'm gonna be starting a YouTube channel soon, I think. So I can't exactly provide that yet. Maybe if me and Andrew touch base on something else, you'll be able to.
I'll link it up in the show notes.
Yeah, you already know. But and then I'd say on SoundCloud, he mentioned I make music and stuff. So he's a couple of his Instagram clips he's put in, and maybe I don't know about your YouTube videos.
On the YouTube intro and outro, actually, that's both you right now.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I just gotta pay attention to his YouTube channel more. I feel bad, but I'm definitely with him on Instagram and stuff. So yeah, it's SoundCloud.com/ I think Now Capone, maybe?
I think it's Now Music.
Now Music, that's what it is. Yeah. That shows how much I've been posted on there recently, but SoundCloud.com/ Now Music.
NAL.
NAL, yep. So, that's what I do. That's just one of my hobbies, I guess. But, yeah, dude, thanks so much for having me on the show, I guess. Like, this is really cool, and I hope to, like, maybe we can do, like, a revisit when things actually get going, because this is sort of, like, the preface of, like, a lot of potential things, I'm not sitting... I don't want to make it seem like I'm sitting here, like, like, I know all this stuff, but I'm just getting started,
for sure.
And I guess that's part of the reason, man, but I just appreciate it, and I love what you're doing, bro. Keep hustling.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you being on the show, and I definitely look forward to checking back in with you later. I could definitely see a revisit episode happening. I think that'd be really cool, just to check in, touch base on what you're up to. So thanks again for being on the show. Thanks for your time. I have a lot of respect for your time, so thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, thank you.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that conversation that we had with Nick Larson. If you're looking to connect with him more, learn more about what he's actually up to, both on the music side, the Amazon FBA side, all that good stuff, I'll link up all of those resources that he mentioned down in the description below on YouTube or in the show notes if you're listening on the podcast Young Smart Money. And for our money pun of the day, where do bad pennies go? The penitentiary. Well, guys, next week we're going to be back at it with I'm going to be interviewing another financial YouTuber, actually, who is making videos on the other side of the globe. But we've done a collaboration together. We've done a lot of work together, and I just really enjoy talking to him and just getting to know him better. So we're going to have him on the show. We're going to talk about really his journey with YouTube and really why he started doing that, what his big goals are in the future, because he's got some really big aspirations. He's really looking to take over the world, maybe. But I'm really excited to have him on the show. It's great talking to him every single time, so be excited for that. But if you can't wait until next week for your next dose of financial literacy content, entrepreneurship, all that good stuff, I've got some free resources for you guys to check out in the meantime while you wait for next Tuesday. And the first of which is my website, applecreator.com, where you're going to find a bunch of videos that I've made, the show notes for this episode at applecreator.com/014. That's 014. This is episode 14. So that's where you're going to find that. You're also going to find my free online course. You can find that at applecreator.com/course. And that's basically just on investing your first $100 as a college student from the comfort of your smartphone. It's completely free. It's a video lecture course, 3-part course, 45 minutes in length, so not too bad at all. Answers all the questions like, what is a stockbroker? What's a stock? How do you get started investing without paying any commissions? How do you pay no fees when you invest? All of that good stuff that you sort of need to know as a young person who's trying to invest with not that much money to begin with. And then lastly, you can just find me on YouTube. I've got nearly 200 uploads on YouTube. I upload nearly every single day, usually about 5 times a week. There, just with regard to what I'm doing financially, sort of the side hustles that I'm doing. Started virtual assistant business, started an Instagram page, already making money from that. Credit cards, talk about credit cards a lot, talk about entrepreneurship, talk about personal finance, budgeting, making more money, all of that good stuff. So check that out. That's going to be at youtube.com/applecreator. And those videos, again, they go up about 5 times a week. So you'll definitely find a ton of new content there every time you stop back. So that's basically all I've got for you guys today. And I want to challenge you to find the creative way to start making money, because a lot of things we talked about in this episode were about finding creative ways to make money. So Nick talked about how he's doing Amazon FBA. We talked about our sort of virtual assistant / social media agency / whatever that we're sort of up to. And now Nick and I actually both we started an Instagram page together, and we're actually making money from that as well. I've got a couple of YouTube videos on that if you want to check those out. Again, youtube.com/applecreator. But find a creative way to start making money, because there's so much white space out there, and there's so many ways to make money if you have value to provide. Like there's a lot of ways to sort of just siphon money out of the system and sort of arbitrage value, but if you can actually provide some serious value, which is what we're doing with this Instagram page we started. We didn't touch on it that much in the episode because we started that more recently. I'm filming this a couple weeks after we did the interview, but no need to worry about that. But just to give you an example, we started this Instagram page a week ago. We started making money on day 6 of having an Instagram account. So that's like the lowest barrier to entry thing there is, literally creating a page on Instagram, and we were making money within 6 days. So there's so much white space out there. Find a creative way to start making some money for yourself, to increase your income, and let me know how you're doing that. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at applecreatorofficial. Shoot me an email at apple@applecreator.com. Reach out wherever you can find me, honestly. I love hearing from you guys. It really just it hits home every single time, and it really just makes it worth it. All of the work that I put into this, when I hear from you guys, when I hear what you guys actually have to say and what's actually going for you guys. So be sure to reach out there. But my name is Apple Creator. I thank you very much for sticking around for this episode of Young Smart Money today with me, your host, and I will see you next Tuesday. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that conversation that we had with Nick Larson. If you're looking to connect with him more, learn more about what he's actually up to, both on the music side, the Amazon FBA side, all that good stuff, I'll link up all of those resources that he mentioned down in the description below on YouTube or in the show notes if you're listening on the podcast Young Smart Money. And for our money pun of the day, where do bad pennies go? The penitentiary. And for our money pun of the day, where do bad pennies go? The penitentiary. Well, guys, next week we're going to be back at it with I'm going to be interviewing another financial YouTuber actually, who is making videos on the other side of the globe. But we've done a collaboration together. We've done a lot of work together, and I just really enjoy talking to him and just getting to know him better. So we're going to have him on the show. We're going to talk about really his journey with YouTube, and really why he started doing that, what his big goals are in the future, because he's got some really big aspirations. He's really looking to take over the world, maybe. But I'm really excited to have him on the show. It's great talking to him every single time. So be excited for that. But if you can't wait until next week for your next dose of financial literacy content, entrepreneurship, all that good stuff, I've got some free resources for you guys to check out in the meantime while you wait for next Tuesday. And the first of which is my website, applecredit.com, where you're going to find a bunch of videos that I've made, the show notes for this episode at applecredit.com/014. That's 014. This is episode 14. So that's where you're going to find that. You're also going to find my free online course. You can find that at applecredit.com/course. And that's basically just on investing your first $100 as a college student from the comfort of your smartphone. It's completely free. It's a video lecture course, 3-part course, 45 minutes in length, so not too bad at all. Answers all the questions like, what is a stockbroker? What's a stock? How do you get started investing without paying any commissions? How do you pay no fees when you invest? All of that good stuff that you sort of need to know as a young person who's trying to invest with not that much money to begin with. And then lastly, you can just find me on YouTube. I've got nearly 200 uploads on YouTube. I upload nearly every single day, usually about 5 times a week. There, just with regard to what I'm doing financially, sort of the side hustles that I'm doing. Started virtual assistant business, started an Instagram page, already making money from that. Credit cards, talk about credit cards a lot, talk about entrepreneurship, talk about personal finance, budgeting, making more money, all of that good stuff. So check that out. That's going to be at youtube.com/applecredit. And those videos, again, they go up about 5 times a week. So you'll definitely find a ton of new content there every time you stop back. So that's basically all I've got for you guys today. And I want to challenge you to find the creative way to start making money, because a lot of things we talked about in this episode were about finding creative ways to make money. So Nick talked about how he's doing Amazon FBA. We talked about our sort of virtual assistant / social media agency / whatever that we're sort of up to. And now Nick and I actually both we started an Instagram page together, and we're actually making money from that as well. I've got a couple of YouTube videos on that if you want to check those out. Again, youtube.com/applecredit. But find a creative way to start making money, because it's really, there's so much white space out there, and there's so many ways to make money if you have value to provide. Like there's a lot of ways to sort of just siphon money out of the system and sort of arbitrage value, but if you can actually provide some serious value, which is what we're doing with this Instagram page we started. We didn't touch on it that much in the episode because we started that more recently. I'm filming this a couple weeks after we did the interview, but no need to worry about that. But just to give you an example, we started this Instagram page a week ago. We started making money on day 6 of having an Instagram account. So that's like the lowest barrier to entry thing there is, literally creating a page on Instagram, and we were making money within 6 days. So there's so much white space out there. Find a creative way to start making some money for yourself, to increase your income, and let me know how you're doing that. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at applecreditofficial. Shoot me an email at apple@applecredit.com. Reach out wherever you can find me, honestly. I love hearing from you guys. It really just, it hits home every single time, and it really just makes it worth it. All of the work that I put into this, when I hear from you guys, when I hear what you guys actually have to say and what's actually going for you guys. So be sure to reach out there. But my name is Apple Crater. I thank you very much for sticking around for this episode of Young Smart Money today with me, your host, and I will see you next Tuesday. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. If you want to learn more about investing, I've got an entire free online video lecture course down below. Check it out.